I shot my brother in the knee with his own service pistol right there, in the family kitchen, the crack echoing like Judgment Day, and watched him crumple to the linoleum we'd scrubbed together as kids, blood pooling slow. Not fatal. Just enough to make him feel the weight of what he'd stolen from me. My mother, the woman who'd birthed me and buried my secrets, turned state's evidence against me in that fluorescent-lit courtroom, her voice cracking like cheap china as she spat lies to save her golden boy, sealing my fate with every syllable. And the Chief Justice himself, that silver-haired arbiter of American justice, stood up mid-testimony, slamming his gavel not to silence her, but to declare me remarkable, twisting the knife deeper because he knew the truth I'd buried for years, the one that could topple empires built on our family's rotting foundation. The fluorescent buzz in that Chicago courtroom was the soundtrack to my unraveling, a relentless hum that matched the migraine pounding behind my eyes. It was a muggy July afternoon in 2025, the kind where Lake Michigan's humidity clings to your skin like regret, and the air conditioning wheezes like an old man denying his emphysema. I sat there in an ill-fitting navy suit my public defender had scrounged from some thrift store on the south side, stiff collar chafing my neck, the fabric smelling faintly of mothballs and desperation. Allison Harper, 28, formerly a rising star in corporate finance at one of those gleaming loop towers, now reduced to defendant number whatever the hell in a federal fraud case that could bury me under 20 years in Supermax. The gallery was packed with the usual circus, reporters from the Tribune and Sun-Times scribbling like fiends, a smattering of rubberneckos who'd wandered in from the Magnificent Mile for a taste of real-life drama, and my family, or what was left of it. Dad was up in Milwaukee, probably nursing a six-pack at some dive bar, pretending the world hadn't imploded. And there, front row, was Mom, Evelyn Harper, 52, going on ancient, her peroxide blonde bob shellacked into place, pearls clutched like rosary beads. She looked every inch the grieving matriarch, but I knew better. Those eyes, sharp as Lake Street switchblades, had already sold me out. The prosecutor, a slick weasel named Harlan Tate, mid-40s, Ivy League polish with a southern drawl he'd picked up at Vanderbilt to sound folksy, paced like he owned the joint. Your Honor, the evidence is damning. MS. Harper siphoned over $2 million from her employer's pension fund. Emails, wire transfers, shell accounts in the Caymans, it's all here. He waved a thick file like it was the Constitution itself, his smile all teeth. No soul. I didn't flinch. Couldn't. My hands were cuffed under the table, the metal biting cold against my wrists, a reminder that this was no dream. I confessed to it all months ago, in a sterile FBI interview room that smelled of stale coffee and broken promises. But not because I was guilty. No. I'd taken the fall for Tommy. My baby brother, Thomas Tommy Harper Jr., the prodigal son who'd always been Mom's favorite, the one she'd shielded from every storm while I weathered them alone. It started 2 years back, in the shadow of the pandemic's long tail. I'd clawed my way up at Apex Financial, a mid-tier firm specializing in retirement plans for blue-collar unions, ironic, given our family's own threadbare edges. Dad had been a steelworker until the mills shuttered in the 90s. Mom a part-time receptionist who dreamed of Vegas showgirl glamour but settled for PDA bake sales. Tommy? He was the wild card. Enlisted in the Marines right out of high school. Came back from Afghanistan with a Purple Heart and a chip on his shoulder the size of the Badlands. Discharged honorably but restless. He bounced from security gigs to odd jobs. Always one bad decision from the abyss. I loved him, though. God help me. I did. when he showed up at my Gold Coast apartment one rainy April night in 2023. Soaked to the bone. Eyes wild like a cornered coyote. I let him in without a second thought. "Allie, I fucked up," he'd rasped, collapsing onto my leather couch that I'd saved 6 months for. The story spilled out in fragments. A business opportunity with some ex-Marine buddies, smuggling high-end electronics across the Canadian border to fund a startup. But it went south, customs raid. One guy pinched, and suddenly Tommy owed a Chicago outfit $50,000 he didn't have. Desperate, he'd dipped into Apex's slush fund, using my login, swiped from my keychain during a family barbecue, to cook the books. Just a loan, he swore. He'd pay it back. I believed him. Or maybe I wanted to. Family's the one debt you can't default on in this country. Right? Land of the free. Home of the leveraged. So I covered it. Falsified the audits. Routed the funds through dummy vendors. Buried it under COVID relief paperwork that no one scrutinized. It was supposed to be temporary. A bridge over the river, denial. But Tommy? He vanished. Pocketed the cash. Bought a beat-up Ford F-150. And hightailed it to Vegas. Chasing blackjack tables and cocktail waitresses. Mom knew. Of course she did. She wired him money from her secret stash, the one Dad thought was for his eventual nursing home, and when the feds started sniffing, she flipped the script. Protected her boy. Sacrificed her girl. Blood's thicker than justice. Or so the American dream whispers when the chips are down. MS. Harper, the judge intoned, his voice like gravel under tires. Chief Justice Elias Grant, no. Wait. Not the Supreme Court guy, this was federal district, but he carried himself like he'd been forged in the fires of Watergate. Late 60s. Salt and pepper beard trimmed to perfection. Eyes that could dissect a lie from across the room. You've waived your right to a jury trial. Is that correct? Yes. Your Honor. My voice didn't waver. Public defender. MS. Ruiz, a harried Latina in her 30s who'd seen too many plea deals, nodded beside me. The prosecution called its first witness, my mother. She took the stand like she was ascending to sainthood, hand on the Bible, swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but. Harlan leaned in.
O lavuncular charm.
Mrs. Harper, describe your daughter's character. Evelyn paused, dabbing her eyes with a monogrammed hanky. Allison's always been troubled. Ambitious. Sure. But reckless. She can barely hold a job, my mom testified against me, her words slicing deeper than any indictment. The gallery murmured, a ripple of schadenfreude from strangers who'd never known hunger like ours. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks, that old familiar burn of being the family's scapegoat. Tommy breaks a window, I get grounded. Tommy flunks algebra, I tutor him through tears. And now this. But then God. The moment that rewired my soul, the Chief Justice stood. He didn't bang the gavel, he just rose, slow and deliberate, like a battleship cresting a wave. The room froze. Objection sustained, he boomed, though none had been raised. His gaze locked on Mom, then flicked to me, a flicker of something unreadable. Pity? Recognition? Counsel. This court has reviewed the defendant's record. MS. Harper graduated summa cum laude from Northwestern. Served on the board of the Chicago Food Depository during the lockdowns. And turned around Apex's failing Midwest division in under a year. She's been remarkable. Silence crashed like a wave. Harlan sputtered. Mom's face drained of color. Her pearls forgotten.
Me?
I stared at Grant, heart hammering. How did he know? I'd never met the man. But in that instant, I saw it, the crack in the facade. He wasn't defending me, he was signaling. There was more here. Layers buried deeper than Tommy's betrayal. Court adjourned for recess. And as deputies led me away.
Ruiz whispered.
What the hell was that? Your mom's perjury could get her disbarred, no. Wait. She's not a lawyer. But that judge. He's gunning for the bench in Springfield. This smells. I didn't respond. My mind was already spinning the web. Betrayal tastes like bile. But revenge? That's the slow burn of bourbon on a winter night. Warm at first. Then scorching. By the time they locked me in holding, I'd made my choice. Tommy would pay. Mom would shatter. And if Justice Grant was playing chess while the rest of us fumbled checkers, I'd learn the board. That night, in the Cook County Jail's beige purgatory, I lay on the thin mattress staring at the cinderblock ceiling, tracing the graffiti scars left by women who'd walked this path before. Fuck the system. Family first. Burn it down. Sleep came in fits, haunted by flashes. Tommy's grin at our 10th birthday. Mom's lullabies over the crackle of a space heater. The day Dad walked out with his toolbox and a note that said sorry.
Evie.
Can't carry it anymore. Morning brought the plea hearing. 20 years. Reduced to 10 with good behavior if I sang. I did. Named names, but not Tommy's. Let Mom think she'd won. Let the feds chase ghosts in the Caymans while I rotted in Logan Correctional, downstate in the cornfields where the wind whispers secrets through razor wire. Prison was a masterclass in American ingenuity, women from all walks, gangbangers from Cabrini Green, white-collar washouts like me, undocumented dreamers caught in ICE's net, hustling contraband smokes and shank lessons. I kept my head down, but my ears open. Ruiz visited monthly, smuggling case files in her bra. Grant's digging, she said one gray November. Dropped hints about mitigating circumstances. Your brother's prints are all over the server logs.
Allie.
Why protect him? Because blood. I lied. Truth was, exposing Tommy outright would have dragged Mom down too. And as much as I hated her, I needed her alive. Broken, but breathing. For the plan. By year 2, I'd earned trustee status, laundry detail, library clerk, access to the ancient computers that predated dial-up. That's where I found it, a buried memo in Apex's archived emails. CC'd to Grant back when he was a junior partner at a firm that audited us. Tommy hadn't just stolen, he'd leveraged a glitch in the pension software. One Grant's team had flagged but buried for a kickback. The Chief Justice wasn't my savior. He was complicit. A schemer in robes, flipping sides to cover his own ass while dangling mercy like bait. The twist hit like a gut punch. Mom hadn't testified out of blind loyalty. She'd been coached. Grant's clerk had visited her weeks before trial, promising Tommy's immunity if she pinned it on me. The old bitch had sold us both for what? A promise of clean hands in a dirty game? Rage crystallized then, sharp as a shiv. I started writing letters, not to Tommy, ghosting in Reno per Ruiz's PI, but to ghosts of my own making. Anonymous tips to the Sun-Times. Whispers to a podmate whose cousin ran with the Latin Kings. Seeds planted in fertile soil. By release, early for exemplary conduct, courtesy of Grant's signature, I was a ghost myself. 5 years served. Out on a crisp October dawn in 2028, the Midwest air biting like unfinished business. Chicago hadn't changed. Same potholes. Same L trains rattling overhead. Same illusion of progress masking the grind. I crashed at a halfway house in Pilsen. Dyed my hair black. Got a gig waitressing at a taqueria where no one asked questions. But night was mine. I tracked Tommy first, easy. Social media's confessional booth. He'd married some showgirl knockoff. Spawned a kid. Flipped houses in the suburbs like the American dream was a flip phone. Mom? Still in the old Albany Park bungalow. Volunteering at church. Pretending sainthood. Grant was the wild card. Elevated to the Illinois Supreme Court. His face plastered on billboards. Elias Grant. Justice for all. Hypocrite. I needed leverage. Ruiz. Now a full partner. Fed me scraps. Grant's daughter. Lila. A poli-sci whiz at U of C. Interning at his chambers. Innocent pawn. But in revenge's ledger, no one's clean. The first move was subtle. A burner phone to Tommy's voicemail. Hey.
Bro.
It's Allie. Miss you.
Coffee sometime?
His reply came hesitant, laced with guilt. Allie?
Shit.
Yeah. Neutral ground. We met at a Starbucks in Oak Park. The kind of place where baristas foam art into your latte like it's therapy. He looked older, paunched from desk job, wedding ring glinting like a shackle. Hugged me awkward, smelling of axe and anxiety. Sis. Save it. I slid a photo across the table. Him. Mid-2023. Loading crates into that F-150 at the Indiana border. Feds missed this. I didn't. His face crumpled.
How?
Doesn't matter. You owe me.
Tommy.
$50K was the start. Now it's everything. He balked. Blustered about family. But I saw the fear.
Good.
Phase 1. Bleed him dry. Wire transfers to an offshore account I'd set up on the dark web, ironic. Using my fraud skills for good. He paid in installments. Whining about the wife. The kid. I didn't care. Each ping was a brick in my fortress. Mom was next. I drove out on a Sunday. The old Caprice I'd bought for cash rumbling like indigestion. She answered the door in her muumuu. Flour on her apron from pie baking. Allison?
Oh.
Honey. Then the slap of recognition. Her eyes narrowing. What do you want? Truth. I pushed inside. The house unchanged. Faded floral wallpaper. Dad's old recliner gathering dust. We sat at the Formica table where we'd shared Thanksgiving fights. And I laid it out. Grant's visit? The deal. Tommy's flight. She denied at first. Tears theatrical. Then the flood. He was going to jail. Allie, my baby, you were strong. You could have handled it. Handled it? I laughed. Bitter as black coffee. I lost 5 years. My career. My life. You're out now. Let it go. God's plan. God. I stood. Voice steel. Tell that to the women I met inside. Moms like you who chose sons over daughters. Wire me $20K.
Mom.
For old times. She did. Trembling fingers on her phone. But as I left, I planted the bug, tiny, from a South Side electronics shop, under the kitchen sink. Listening in, I'd hear her calls to Tommy, plotting alibis, whispering about that judge's favor. Grant was the endgame. I needed in close. Applied for a clerk position at the state courts. My record expunged, thanks to Ruiz's strings. Interviewed with his chief of staff, a no-nonsense broad named Patel. Why justice now? MS. Harper. To balance the scales, I said, meeting her eyes. Hired on probation. The courthouse was a hive, marble halls echoing with case law incantations, clerks scurrying like ants. Lila Grant was my 22. All earnest idealism and Ugg boots. Interning for extra credit. We bonded over bad coffee in the break room. Dad's intense, she confided one lunch. Always working late. Mom worries he's burning out. I nodded. Sympathetic. Family pressure's the worst. Mine.
Well,
Let's just say blood runs thick and toxic. Weeks in, I accessed the sealed files. There it was, Grant's memo from 2023. Initialed, approving the audit cover-up. Kickback wired to a PAC he'd chaired. Watergate 2.0. Small scale but filthy. But the antagonist in this wasn't just one man. Grant flipped like a politician at a fundraiser, charming in public, ruthless in chambers. He'd mentored Tommy post-Marine, hooked him with a smuggling gig as a test of loyalty. When it blew, he orchestrated the frame, me as Patsy, Mom as Canary, himself as White Knight. Schemer supreme. Decisions controversial as hell, saving his skin by dooming mine, all while preaching equity from the bench. I confronted him on a stormy Thursday. His office overlooking the Chicago River. Rain lashing the windows like accusations. MS. Harper, he said, not surprised. Swirling scotch in a tumbler. I wondered when you'd connect the dots. You ruined me. I tossed the printout on his desk. For what? A few grand? He chuckled.
low and dry.
It was bigger. Apex was laundering for the mob, pensions as fronts. I buried it to expose them later. Tommy was bait.
You.
Collateral. Liar. But doubt crept in. His eyes held no malice. Just weary calculation. Was he the villain? Or the flawed hero in a system that chews up the small fry? Help me finish it, he countered. Testify. Immunity for you. Tommy cleans up.
Tempting.
The American way. Flip. Forgive. Forget. But revenge isn't a transaction. It's a reckoning. Winter clamped down on Chicago like a vice. The wind off the lake turning Michigan Avenue into a frozen gauntlet. By December 2028, I'd woven myself into the courthouse fabric, filing motions by day, plotting by night in my one-bedroom walk-up in Wicker Park, where the hipsters sipped $12 IPAs oblivious to the vendettas brewing under their artisanal floorboards. The bug in Mom's kitchen fed me gold, late-night sobs to her priest. Frantic voicemails to Tommy about Allison sniffing around. She'd even reached out to Grant's office. Voice quivering. Your Honor, she's unstable. Please, for the family's sake. Unstable. The word festered. A callback to her courtroom perjury. I played the tapes for Ruiz over bootleg tequila at her Lincoln Park brownstone. The city lights smearing gold across the skyline. This is dynamite, she said, pacing in yoga pants. Her divorce fresh and raw. Blackmail the judge? Career suicide. Not blackmail, I corrected, swirling the glass. Ice clinked like handcuffs. Justice. American style, eye for an eye, but with receipts. She eyed me, half admiring, half horrified. Ruiz had her own scars, a brother in Joliet for armed robbery, A dad who'd bailed during the recession. You're playing with fire.
Allie.
Grant's connected governors, senators. And Tommy? He's small time now. But corner him.
Tommy.
My shadow. My albatross. The wire transfers had hit 6 figures. Funneled to a Cayman account I'd dubbed Harper's Folly. He begged off the last one. Wife's pregnant again. Can't. So I escalated, mailed the border photo to his boss at the Home Depot franchise. Anonymous tip, ask about his side hustle. By New Year's, he was pink-slipped, drowning in child support, crashing on mom's couch like the prodigal who'd overstayed. I watched from afar, parked in the Caprice across the street, snow muffling the world. He chain-smoked on the stoop, breath fogging the air, while mom fluttered inside like a trapped moth. Guilt gnawed at me sometimes, in the quiet hours before dawn when the city's hum faded to a whisper. Was this revenge or just cruelty? Tommy had been my protector once, bashing a bully's nose in at recess, sharing his last Snickers when Dad's checks bounced. But betrayal's a cancer. It metastasizes, turns love to lead. Grant's flip came swift. One morning in January, as flurries danced outside his chambers, he summoned me. Lila speaks highly of you. Yes. Harper. His desk was a fortress of leather-bound tomes, Blackstone. Scalia dissents, dominated by a family portrait. Him. Stern. Wife. Serene. Lila. Gap-toothed at 10. But I sense an agenda. I met his stare. Pulse steady. We all have them. Your honor. Mine's simple, truth. He leaned back. Fingers steepled. Truth is a luxury in this republic. Apex wasn't just fraud. It was a pipeline for outfit money, pension siphon to buy judgeships. Silence witnesses. I signed off because the FBI needed an inside track. Tommy was my CI. Unwitting at first. When he bolted, I had to improvise. Improvise. The word tasted like ash. By framing me? Collateral. As I said, no apology. Just fact. Schemers don't grovel, they rationalize. Your mother. She chose poorly, but loyally. Offer stands, help me nail the real players. Apex's CEO. Vitali, mobbed up. Testimony gets you a book deal. Maybe a podcast. Temptation slithered in. Seductive as a South Side siren. The American Redemption arc. Fall hard. Rise phoenix-like. Monetize the misery. But I saw the hook, Grant flipping again. Using me as bait while he burnished his halo. And if I say no? His smile was winter. Then you're on your own. But remember, MS. Harper, courts have long memories. Dismissed. I stormed out, heels clicking on marble like gunfire. Lila caught me in the hall, coffee in hand. Everything okay? Dad can be intense. Your dad's a masterclass in selective justice, I muttered, then softened. Kid didn't deserve the splash damage. Family stuff.
Hey.
Want to grab foe after shift? My treat. She beamed, all millennial earnestness. Over steaming bowls in Chinatown, amid the red lanterns and Cantonese chatter, she spilled Grant's burnout, late nights poring over Vitali's files, arguments with her mom about risks. He says it's for the greater good. But what if it's just power? Power. The great American aphrodisiac. From Wall Street to Washington. I probed gentle. Ever wonder about his old cases? Like the Apex audit. Lila shrugged, slurping noodles. He doesn't talk shop. But there's this sealed file. Harper v. State. That's you. Right? Small world. Bingo. That night, back in my apartment, peeling paint, radiator hissing like a serpent, I hacked the court's back end. Prison had taught me locks. Both metal and digital. A favor from a lifer's hacker nephew owed me the toolkit. The file cracked open. Grant's notes. Frantic scrawls digitized. Harper girl takes fall. Monitor for blowback. Vitali deadline March. He'd known the whole time. And there, buried in attachments, Mom's affidavit. Coerced, but with a postscript, Elias promised Tommy's enlistment bonus reinstated if she complies. The Marines? Tommy's discharge had been messy, PTSD flagged, benefits denied. Grant pulled strings, bought silence. Rage boiled anew, but laced with doubt. Was he the monster? Or the system incarnate? Flipping sides, not from malice, but necessity, decisions that damned the few to save the many. Controversial as hell. The kind that splits dinner tables from Seattle to Savannah. Ends justify means. Or nah. I hit Tommy next.
Hard.
Drove to the bungalow at dusk. The sky bruising purple. He answered, bleary-eyed. A Corzine fist. Allie? Fuck. Inside. Mom hovered. Accusatory. The living room reeked of microwave pizza and defeat. Couch sagging. TV droning Fox News bile about border walls and woke agendas. What now? Tommy growled. Slumping. Kid toys scattered like shrapnel. Endgame. I dropped the printouts. Grant's notes. Mom's deal. You were his pawn. We all were. Mom gasped, hand to throat. Lies. I did it for us. For him, I whirled. Always Tommy. I covered your ass in high school shoplifting, your bar fights, your deployment debts. And this, you let me rot. Tommy's face twisted, guilt, then defiance. You were the smart one.
Allie.
Could have lawyered up. Fought it. I panicked. Panic. I laughed.
Hollow.
That's your excuse? 5 years.
Tommy.
Lost teeth in a cell block brawl. Nightmares of the yard. While you played house. He surged up. Fists clenched, marine muscles still there.
Coiled.
What do you want? My blood. Close. I nodded to the kitchen. Your gun. The one you kept from service. Shoot me in the knee. Even a score. Or wire the rest 50 more K and vanish. Take Mom. Start over in Florida. Trailer park paradise. Mom wailed, collapsing into a chair. Tommy stared, the room thickening with unspoken sins. Minutes stretched, taut as piano wire. Then he nodded, defeated. Account. I recited it. Watched the transfer ping on my phone. As I left, he called after. Allie. Sorry. Sorry's cheap in America. Like drive-through regrets. But it cracked something in me, a fissure where forgiveness might leak through. Or poison. February brought the storm. Vitali's trial loomed. Grant's magnum opus. I was subpoenaed as a character witness. Irony's bitter pill. Prep sessions in his chambers. Him pacing. Me nodding. Lila oblivious in the corner filing briefs. Stick to the script, he murmured one evening. City lights winking below. Your remarkable turnaround. It humanizes the case. Script, I echoed. Venom sweet. Like the one you wrote for Mom? He froze, then sighed. Necessary evil. Vitali's crew killed 3 informants last year. Your brother's mess threatened the op. I chose the path with fewer bodies. Fewer. Not none. The math of morality. Cold as a ledger. And if I deviate, his eyes hardened, flipping again. From mentor to menace. Lila's future. Your freedom. Think. Allison. Threats now. The schemer unmasked. Decisions teetering on the knife edge of controversy. Protect the innocent by sacrificing the guilty. Or was I guilty too? For covering Tommy's tracks? I bided time. Fed Ruiz copies. She whistled low. This goes public. It's Pulitzer or prison. Your call.
Mine.
Always had been. The breaking point came mid-March. A freak warm spell melting the snow into slushy streets. Tommy called. Voice wrecked. Allie's place now. Emergency. I raced over. Heart in throat. The bungalow door ajar. Mom on the floor, not blood. Thank Christ. But collapsed, clutching her chest. Paramedics swarmed, sirens wailing into the night. Hospital waiting room, sterile hell. Vending machine coffee, like regret. Tommy paced. Ashen. Stress, they say. Your shit show pushed her over. Me? Fury flared. Try your vanishing act. Her perjury hangover. He lunged, but I sidestepped. Self-defense classes in the pen paid off. We grappled, crashing into chairs, nurses scattering. Enough, separating us. Mom stabilized, panic attack. Not infarct, but the damage was done. Family fractured, irreparable. That night, alone in the Caprice, engine idling under a viaduct, I loaded Tommy's Beretta, retrieved from his truck months back. A trophy. Click-clack. Chambered round. Drive to a suburb? End it clean? Or turn the barrel inward? Join the ghosts. Dawn broke gray. Decision deferred. Grant's courtroom awaited. Time to flip the board. Spring teased Chicago with false promises. Crocuses pushing through cracked sidewalks. The air thick with diesel and distant hope. But by April 2029, the city's underbelly was stirring like a beast from hibernation. Vitali's trial dominated the news cycle. Front-page trib spreads on the outfit's pension heist. Talking heads on CNN debating systemic rot over clips of Grant's gravitas. I was Exhibit A in the theater of justice, prepped to the teeth in mock crosses. My redemption, arc polished like a used car on Clark Street. But revenge doesn't wait for intermission. The night before opening arguments, I slipped into Grant's chambers after hours, master key from a janitor's favor, greased with 20s. His desk yielded treasures, a burner phone log, calls to Vitali's lawyer pleading continuance, a draft opinion shielding Apex execs from deeper probes. Flipper extraordinaire, hedging bets as the noose tightened. And there, in a locked drawer, Mom's original affidavit, and signed. With Grant's handwritten note, Evelyn, Tommy's record expunged upon delivery. Trust the process.
Trust.
The punchline of every Ponzi scheme from Madoff to Main Street. I photographed it all. Uploaded to a dead man's switch, Ruiz's server. Timed release if I ghosted. Then, the gut punch. A file on me. Allison Harper. Resilient. Potential asset. Monitor post-release. He'd been grooming me, not just for this trial, but his ascent, Lieutenant Governor whispers. A Senate run. Schemer's endgame. My silence for his spotlight. Morning broke with a summons. Grant. Pre-trial huddle in his antechamber. Coffee steaming like unspoken threats. Lila hovered, handing out agendas, her smile faltering when she saw my face. Allie, you okay? Fine.
Kiddo.
I forced it, but inside, the storm raged. Grant dismissed her with a nod, then turned, door clicking shut. Today's your debut. Remember. Fuck your script. I slapped the photos down, his burner log glaring up like accusation. You're dirty. Elias. Mob payoffs. Family strong arm. And me, your pet project. His face didn't crack. Years on the bench schooled that, but his eyes flickered. Calculating escape vectors. Speculation. Harper. Those prove nothing. Prove enough for the Sun-Times. Or the feds. If I lupinate. He poured scotch. Dawn light slanting through blinds like prison bars. Leverage.
Classic.
What's the ask?
Money?
Tommy's head on a platter. Truth. I leaned in, voice low thunder. On the stand.
Today.
Admit the frame, the deal with mom. Or it drops. A beat. Eternal. Then he laughed, dry. Defeated. You think Vitali's the villain? He's a symptom. This country's built on deals. Unions with mob. Banks with politicians. I fixed what I could. You. Tommy, small sacrifices for the purge. Sacrifices. The word hung. Controversial as a filibuster. Readers' hell. America would split. Hero bending rules to gut corruption. Or tyrant playing God. No clean lines. Just gray like the lake on overcast days. Fine, he conceded.
Surprising me.
Partial truth. I'll nudge the narrative, hint at irregularities in your case. But full confession? Not with Lilo in the room. Or Vitali's hitters circling. Deals struck. Uneasy as a blind date. But as I left, doubt wormed in. Was I the Avenger? Or just another flipper in the game? Courtroom was SRO, cameras flashing. Sketch artists capturing the circus. Vitali, 60-ish and paunchy in a Brioni suit, smirked from counsel table. His lawyer a shark named Kowalski. Harlan Tate open strong. Wire fraud. RICO charges. The works. Then Grant's turn, his voice rolling like the Mississippi, painting Apex as a betrayal of the working man's trust. My moment came post-lunch. The room stuffy with anticipation. Sworn in, hands steady on the Bible. I faced the sea of faces. Reporters. Relatives. Mom in the back, pale. Clutching her purse like a shield. Tommy absent. Probably hiding in a motel off I-90. MS. Harper, Grant began. Gentle as a confessor. You served time for crimes tied to Apex. Walk us through. I inhaled. The air acrid with old ink and new lies. I took responsibility for irregularities. But there were influences.
Pause.
Let it land. My family pressured me. And higher-ups buried red flags. Murmurs rippled. Harlan perked, sensing blood. Kowalski objected, relevance, but Grant overruled. Eyes locking mine, your move. Deeper. My brother accessed accounts without permission. I covered to protect him. And the audit?
Flawed.
Someone signed off knowing. Who? Harlan pounced.
Circling.
I hesitated, theater. Not torment. a partner at the auditing firm. Now on this bench. Chaos erupted. Gavel banged. Spectators gasped. Grant's face, stone. But beneath, a tremor. Order. Emmett. Harper. Specifics. You. Your Honor. Elias Grant. The room detonated, shouts. Flashes. Deputies herding the frenzy. Mom bolted, sobbing into the aisle. Lila, in the clerk's box, went white as chalk, staring at her father like he'd sprouted horns. Vitali chuckled, low and knowing. Recess called, but the damage was seismic. Bailiffs escorted me out amid the melee. Ruiz waiting in the hall, eyes wide. Holy shit, Allie. You just nuked the judiciary. Worth it, but my hands shook. Adrenaline crashing. Revenge's high, euphoric, then empty. That evening, lockdown at my place, press vans idling outside. Calls from producers promising 6 figures for the tell-all. Tommy texted, "You crazy? Mom's catatonic." Grant's done. Then a call from an unknown. Grant's voice. Ragged. Meet me. Adler Planetarium. Midnight. Come alone. Trap? Temptation? I went. Beretta tucked in my waistband. The lakeside drive a blur of sodium lights. The museum loomed dark. A dome against the stars. Waves lapping like whispers. He waited on the steps. Overcoat flapping. No robes, just a man. Diminished. You wanted truth, he said. Voice raw. Here, I recruited Tommy for the bureau. Post-discharge. PTSD made him pliable. The smuggling? Controlled op to infiltrate Vitali's ring. When he skimmed for personal debts. Demons, I couldn't pull him without blowing cover. Demons? I echoed. Gun heavy in my pocket. Afghanistan. Lost his squad to an IED. Blamed himself. The cash was for shrinks he couldn't afford. Grant's eyes glistened, not tears, but the glint of a man unmasked. Your mother knew fragments. I leveraged her love. Yes. Pull. But the alternative?
Tommy suicides.
Op crumbles. Vitali walks. Flipping again, villain to victim. Or something muddier. And me. Clean record flagged you as stable. Thought you'd weather it. Emerge stronger. Arrogant? Perhaps. Perhaps. Laughter barked out.
Sharp.
I broke. Elias. Rebuilt as this vindictive ghost. He nodded. Weary. Then end it. Shoot. If it heals. The gun came out. Barrel cold against my palm. Waves crashed. Indifferent. Pull trigger? Splatter his legacy across the headlines. Buy kid Lila's world? Or holster? Walk. Let the courts devour him slow. Sirens wailed distant. Press. Or worse. Decision crystallized. No. You live with it. Trial tomorrow. Testify your part.
Full.
He exhaled. Relieved?
Resigned? Agreed.
But know this. Vitali's men are en route.
For you.
Gunfire cracked before he finished. Silenced pops from the shadows. Grant jerked. Crimson blooming on his shoulder. Then chest. He crumpled.
Gasping.
I dove behind a bench. Returning fire blind. 2 shots. Muzzle flash illuminating a goon in black. Vitali's enforcer. Face scarred like bad asphalt. Chaos. More shadows. A chase across the lawn. Bullets zipping like angry hornets. I winged one. Heard a yelp. Sprinted for the Caprice. Tires screamed, peeling out as bullets pinged the tailpipe. Heart slamming. I floored it north, the dome receding in the mirror. Radio crackled. Officer down at Adler, Justice Grant. No, not dead. Wounded. But the narrative flipped. Me, the shooter, or hero in the crossfire. Dawn found me at Ruiz's, pounding her door. She yanked me in. News blaring. Judicial assassination attempt. Suspect at large. My face. Pixelated. You idiot, she hissed, but hugged fierce. What now? Twist the knife. I pulled the drive. Dead man files uploading as we spoke. By noon, leaks hit. Grant's corruption. The frame. Vitaly's hit. The city ignited. Protests at Daily Plaza. Chants of justice or bust. Mom called. Voice shattered. Allie,
Come home.
please. Tommy too, sis. It's over. We're all fucked. Over? Hell no. Climax brewing. America holding its breath. May bloomed bloody in Chicago. The lakefront a crime scene tape ribbon around the planetarium. Petals falling like confetti on a funeral. I holed up in Ruiz's guest room. Spare mattress amid law books and takeout cartons, watching the world spin mad on her flat screen. Grant survived surgery. But the headlines feasted. Supreme Court hopeful in mob crossfire, framed ex-con linked. My mugshot cycled endless. The remarkable girl-turned-rogue Avenger. Talk radio frothed. Rush Limbaugh airs calling me feminist fury unleashed. Libs decrying systemic scapegoating. Split down the middle. Just as I'd engineered. No heroes. Only survivors in the Coliseum of public opinion. Ruiz paced. Phone glued to ear. Wheeling deals with her firm. Feds want your surrender, immunity if you flip on Vitaly's crew. But Grant's people? They're spinning you as Patsy. Bait in his op. Patsy. I snorted, nursing black coffee that tasted like battery acid. Again. Irony's a bitch. She stopped, hands on hips. This isn't a game. Allie. Tommy's in protective custody, singing like Sinatra about the smuggling. Mom's lawyered up, pleading duress on the perjury. And you? Manhunt's hot. Bounty whispers from the outfit. Manhunt. The thrill soured to dread. Cabin fever setting in by day 3. I slipped out at dusk, disguised in a Cubs hoodie and shades, hitting a corner bodega for smokes I didn't need. The clerk, a grizzled Pole, eyed me funny, wanted posters everywhere.
Kid.
Paranoia prickled, every shadow a sniper. Back. Ruiz had news. Lila Grant, reaching out via burner. She says her dad's stable, raging about unfinished business. Wants to meet you. Specifically. Trap or truce. I agreed. Neutral ground, a dingy diner off Lakeshore Drive. Neon flickering eat like a dare. Lila arrived solo. No tail, 23 now. Shadows under her eyes. U of C sweatshirt swallowing her frame. We slid into a booth. Formica scarred as my conscience. Waitress pouring Joe without a word. Allie, she started. Voice small. Dad's a mess. ICU rants about betraying you. Says he should have pulled the plug on the op sooner. Betraying me? Bitterness curled my lip. Try the other way round. She flinched. Stirring sugar endless. I read the files, the leak. He's guilty.
Yeah.
Complicit. But he did it for us. Mom's cancer, stage 3. Hushed up. The kickbacks? Experimental treatments. Off books.
Cancer.
The Great Equalizer. Stripping schemes to skin and bone.
Grant.
The Flipper. Reduced to a husband bargaining with devils for time. Controversial didn't cover it. Villain's motive humanized. Or excuse for atrocity. America would debate it over barbecues come July 4th. Ends justify?
Or nah.
He named Vitali in a statement, Lila pressed. From his bed. Rico's cracking wide. Arrests rolling. But he needs your testimony to seal it. Please. I stared out at the drive. Cars blurring silver. And if I bolt, Cayman accounts fat, new life. No baggage. You won't. Certainty in her tone. Unnerving. Dad said you're remarkable for a reason. Not destroyer.
Builder.
Builder. The word echoed Grant's courtroom stand. That inexplicable defense. Maybe he'd seen the spark then me. Not as victim, but vessel for reckoning.
Fin, Isait.
But on my terms. And Tommy full immunity. No deals with Mom. She nodded. Relief flooding.
Deal.
Surrender was anticlimax. FBI van at dawn. Agents in windbreakers cuffing me gentle on Ruiz's stoop. Press chopper thwopping overhead. Processing at the Dirksen building, fingerprints, mugshot redux, then a cell that smelled less of despair than Logan. Tate himself grilled me. Two-way mirror gleaming. Harper.
You stirred the pot.
Grant's corroborating your story meshes. Walk if you deliver Vitali's ledgers. Ledgers. Bluff called. I bluffed them from a podmate's outfit X. During those prison whispers. From the planetarium drop, I lied smooth. Hidden in his coat lining. They bought it, retrieved dummy files I'd prepped. Enough to spook Kowalski into flipping. By June, Vitali's empire crumbled. Indictments. Asset freezes. The Don himself in Supermax. Glowering from Fox News stills. Grant recovered slow. A gaunt figure at the July hearing, cane in hand, robes hanging loose. Mom testified last. Broken, voice quaver. Admitting the deal. The lies. I chose wrong. For love.
But.
Wrong. Tears real this time. Carving rivers in her makeup. Tommy watched from witness protection. Virtual feed, nodding. A ghost of absolution. My turn, no drama. Just facts. The frame. The cover. The shot in the dark. Jury, blue-collar mix. Faces etched with their own hustles. Hung on every word. Verdict, Vitali's crew guilty. Charges dropped on me. Grant, reprimanded. Not removed, politics. The ultimate flip.
Outside.
Post-trial scrum. Mics thrusting. Questions flying. MS. Harper. Revenge or redemption? A reporter barked. I paused. Cameras hot on my face.
Both.
America's good at that, second acts. If you survive the first. Mom waited on the steps. Frail in the sun, peaches from a vendor. Peace offering. Allie, not yet. But softer. Time. Maybe. Blood's thick. But forgiveness? That's the miracle. Tommy got house arrest. Counseling mandated, PTSD unpacked. Demons named. We met once. Awkward barbecue at a safe house. Ribs charring. Kid on his lap cooing. Sis, he said. Flipping burgers. I owe you eternal. Start with showing up, I replied. He nodded. And for a flash, we were kids again. Lake Michigan endless. Grant's twist landed last, a letter. Postmarked Springfield. Allison, you balance the scales. Lila's in turning with Ruiz. Consider Chambers if inclined. Justice needs builders.
E.
Builder. I burned it, but kept the ash. Reminder that endings blur into beginnings. By fall, Chicago cooled, leaves turning like pages. I took a gig at a nonprofit fraud watch for unions. Ironic vigilante. Nights. I walked the Gold Coast, past the old Apex Tower. Ghosts whispering what if? No what ifs. Just forward, scarred but standing. America's a revenge flick with no fade-out, controversial cuts, dark twists, tension that lingers like humidity. We all flip, heroes to heels. Back again.
Me?
I'm the debate, the split, the remarkable mess. And damn if it doesn't feel like home.